Hi, I'm Ellen Horan, President and CEO of the Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and I'm here for this week's Member Spotlight with Todd Schorle, who is CEO of TS Tech Enterprises.
Hello,
Welcome,
thank
Todd.
you for having me.
Great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the range of services that TS Tech is involved in?
Well, we are specialists in one very specific area of IT, and that is managing technology. So what we do is for small business, we come in and we set up shop to be your IT department, and we take care of the antivirus, the updates, the security, the backups, anything that is maintenance related, as well as concierge support for the end users. That way your people have somebody they can contact when they have a problem.
Right. So straight from consulting on what IT to select and run with to help desk?
Yes and no. We actually, I use the consulting word carefully because we don't just provide services without an ongoing arrangement. And when we come in the door, one of our special traits is the fact that we bring in our selection or our stack of predetermined best practices. So if someone wants us to manage an existing system that they've selected, we will, as long as it's inside of our stack. But we won't just do consulting for anything that's out there, because what I've found is if you are willing to service anything, you can't be an expert in something.
That makes sense. Well, you obviously are doing something right, because you're a company that's grown from winning our Entrepreneurial Excellence Awards to our Top 50 awards. So congratulations.
Thank you.
For
it's been a fun ride.
That growth. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And especially you should be very proud because you founded this company, correct?
I did. I started this company in 1996. I was 16 years old, and I had an amazing business management professor at my high school, Governor Mifflin, and Tammy Trotman, now Tammy Gore, and she got me really interested in business. She instructed the class on basically how to write a business plan, and I wrote a business plan for an internet service provider because I could see that AOL wasn't doing what everybody needed. And that business plan is not what TS Tech is today. It evolved, but it got me thinking about business and it got me interested in it. And then I went on to a program after that. I started the business in March with after school hours, 2 hours a day. And a lot of people started calling saying, hey, I hear you're doing this. Next thing I know, I had
So just friends and neighbors and parents?
Friends, neighbors, church members, parents, teachers. I used to get paged over the PA system to come out of class and go fix the school's computer in another area. So yeah, it was a fun year.
Yeah. And then I remember you telling me before that you went to the Pennsylvania Free Enterprise Week program.
Pennsylvania, PFEW is one of my other passions. In fact, I'm going next week to go back to the camp.
As a speaker?
Actually, I volunteer for the whole week. I do a week volunteer.
As an advisor.
As an advisor, yeah. And that program is such a wonderful opportunity for high school kids to get them interested in business. And that, coupled then with Penn State afterwards, set me on my course for entrepreneurship and for business management.
Excellent.
I'm a tech second at this point. I really enjoy the business side of things. I call it pulling the levers to see when you make this change in your business, what happens in other areas.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's something that a lot of chamber members can relate to, where they've got into a business because they had a technical skill or a passion. But then to be able to grow that business, what skill sets did you need to acquire, or whether you acquired them yourself or you acquired them by bringing on, other people to do those areas? How did you go from being the technician to the
not the best path of growth, I'd say. A lot of hard lessons, a bumpy road. We grew from being really a 3-person business when I graduated Penn State to an 8-person business to a 14-person business in less than 10 years. And then the recession hit and we slowed back down to being a 7-person business again. And I had to pick up a lot of the old roles that I had delegated, and I was a little less quick to delegate them a second time because I knew how much work it took to delegate and train someone. But delegation was that key. I mean, being comfortable giving people a chance and letting them try, letting them push their own comfort level was a very important skill. But for me, probably one of the most important areas of growth was always having a network of other business owners that I could talk to about where they were. So one of the things that I'm involved with now is a CEO roundtable that meets quarterly. I meet with other IT business owners that are not in competition with us, and we fly to a different city 4 times a year for about a week each quarter to open our books and share what we're doing and how the business is working and where are we seeing strengths and weaknesses, what's the economy doing, and what should we be doing to adapt. And that has been probably the biggest thing I've done in the last 5 years to help my business grow and change.
Excellent. You know, another thing I know our small business owners struggle with is when they feel they have the cash flow to bring on that help to delegate to.
Yeah.
It's a tough decision to make, to pull that lever, as you say, to bring on the additional help is a huge decision.
It's the chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
Do you bring on the person and hope that the revenue will arrive, or do you wait until the revenue is at risk of losing or leaving because you're not servicing people?
So what should you do?
So I've experimented with both, and I've found that you just have to have faith that you're going to grow, and you have to have faith that what you're doing is working. And when you have the numbers to back up your gut, that oh wait, this is going in the right direction. You have to hire people, and you have to find them early enough in the process to get them trained and ready by the time you really need them. So it's not working 2 weeks ahead of time. It's working 6 weeks or 6 months ahead of time to find those people.
Right, good. And let's talk about that also. That's another thing we hear a lot from the members is what keeps them awake at night, finding the talent that they need to be able to grow their businesses. With you being in a technical field, how is that for you?
So Reading is an interesting conundrum for us with finding people, because you can find tech people who don't want to travel to Philadelphia any longer. The high-paying jobs are in the big cities, New York, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia. So you have well-qualified individuals who are just tired of making that commute and are in this area, and you can find them at a reasonable price. However, when the economy heats up or when the economy slows down is when it gets most difficult, because when it's really hot, they're not available, and when it slows down, the scramble for whatever jobs are available also happens, and then you have this almost backwash of people who aren't necessarily the best qualified out in the market looking. So it causes a lot of extra time to look for resumes.
Right. We're in a hot period, aren't we?
It's warming up. I feel like the Berks County and the Reading area is probably 6 months to a year behind where we're seeing in other areas.
Okay.
So we work with a lot of clients in the Allentown and the Philadelphia and even out in the Harrisburg area. And I don't know what it is about, I like to call that the triangle. We're in the center of the triangle, and for us, I feel that's a real economic strength, because we can be to any of those markets, and being in tech, you can work remotely. But we really saw that those markets were heating up before Berks County. So I'm thankful that finally it feels like things are catching up here.
Right. Good. Yeah, I think they are as well. Any tips for other small business owners? I'm going to ask you for 2 tips. Okay. One, an IT-oriented tip.
An IT-oriented tip. That's such a big topic.
It is. To cloud, not to cloud.
Can't answer that in one question. Yeah, I'm going to say that probably the biggest advice I would give anyone using computers today is you have to be vigilant. You have to really take seriously the landscape of threats that are out there today. And most people don't realize that the Target data breach wasn't Target being breached. It was a small business, actually in Pennsylvania, that was breached first, that led to Target being breached. So small businesses need to be vigilant about making sure that they're up to date and that they're managing technology, because the landscape of threats are such that one issue like that could put you out of business. And your data is valuable even if you're a small business. Right. So that's probably my first tip. Any hints on the second one you're looking for?
Well, just, it was impressive, one, how young you started the company, but the growth path you've been able to have the company on, which is, great. And maybe you gave it and have that leap of faith that you will grow, but, a lot of our smaller members are concerned about making that step forward in bringing on people, in expanding, in taking that next growth mode.
So I would give a tip that you have to know your numbers and study them, because sometimes small business owners get so much in the trenches of servicing the client that they forget to work on the business. And that means reviewing your financials, knowing your numbers, building up a war chest of cash for the rainy days or the rainy months when something doesn't work the way it's supposed to be, because you're going to have those peaks and valleys.
Right.
So know your numbers and work on the business.
Right. Good. Well, congratulations on your success.
Thank you. It has not been my success alone. It's really because I have a great
Good
team
point.
of people. We have people who've been with TS Tech for 8, 10, 19 years right now for me. So we have a
Yeah.
long-term team that makes it possible.
Amazing. Good. Well, congratulations, and thanks for being here today, and thank you for being a member of the Chamber.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Ellen.